The Fall of Kofi, a tale of justice and unity. In a peaceful African village nestled between rolling hills and golden fields, there was a man named Kofi. He was a figure of mystery and charm, a man who could make you believe the world revolved around you, only to leave you in its shadow. Kofi strolled through the village with the swagger of someone who believed he owned it. Women smiled when he passed, some out of admiration, others because they didn't know how else to mask the pain he had caused. Men watched him warily, sensing something dangerous beneath his polished surface. To the women, he offered sweet words and fleeting affection. To the world, he showed a facade of generosity. But deep down, Kofi was a man who thrived on power taken from those who trusted him most. And the village, though peaceful on the surface, was quietly simmering, waiting for a spark to ignite change. Behind every charming smile and every promise Kofi made, there were broken dreams. Women who once believed in his words were left with nothing but whispers of betrayal. Amma, a young woman who had fallen for his lies, sat quietly in her home one evening, tears streaming down her face. The stories were the same across the village, of shame, of silence, of a fear that speaking out would bring only ridicule. But in the hearts of these women, a seed of resilience had been planted. They began to see through Kofi's facade, and their pain began to unite them in ways they never imagined. The day finally came when silence was no longer an option. In the village square, as the sun set in a blaze of red and gold, Amma stood before the crowd. Her voice, shaky at first, grew stronger with every word. She spoke of Kofi's lies, his manipulation, and the pain he had caused not just to her but to countless others. At first, there was silence. Then murmurs of agreement. Then cheers of support. One by one, the women stepped forward, sharing their stories. The crowd swelled with emotion, anger at Kofi's betrayal, and awe at the courage of the women who stood together. That night, in the quiet of Amma's home, the women gathered. The air was thick with determination as they shared their stories and plotted their next steps. Nana, the elder, spoke of unity and strategy. The power of one man is nothing against the strength of many. They mapped out their plan with precision: confront Kofi publicly, expose his lies, and ensure he would never harm anyone in the village again. In that moment, they weren't just victims. They were warriors, ready to fight for their dignity. The village square was alive with tension as Kofi faced the women. Amma stood at the front, her eyes unflinching as she spoke. One by one, the women stepped forward, their voices strong and unyielding as they exposed his lies and manipulation. Kofi's confidence crumbled. The villagers, who had once turned a blind eye, now stood in silent judgment. The women had turned the tide, and Kofi, once untouchable, was now powerless before them. As Kofi's figure disappeared into the horizon, the village began to heal. The women stood together, their hands joined, their faces glowing with pride. The sun set over the fields, bathing the village in golden light. The silence that had once suffocated them was gone, replaced by a sense of unity and peace. The village had changed, not just for the women but for everyone. And from that day on, no one would forget the strength it took to stand together and demand respect. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and comment so you won't miss another video.